Hi, Miss Austin. This is my fourth video for fourth video for DIR number 3. I have now finished chapters 21 through 27, which is technically the last chapter of the book, and then next episode I'll be talking about the epilogue. But a lot has happened. Basically, the Persian and Raoul are going to face down with the Phantom. They are looking for the Phantom. So they go underground and they look for the Phantom in his underground lake area. And the Persian starts revealing facts about Eric's past, about how he's known as the master of the traps, how he's a master illusionist, about how he's got tricks up his sleeves and he's very, very good at what he does. And so in these later chapters, we're more in the perspective of the Persian. And so from the narrator speaking, but it's from the perspective of the Persian because it's like his memoirs, his transcriptions. The Persian is this character who's also known as the Daroga, I believe, is a Persian word for like chief of police or something like that. And he knows Eric from sort of his earlier days, and so the Persian wants to track down where Eric is, his whereabouts, sort of his place in the opera house. And he knows, and the way he leads Raoul throughout sort of the labyrinth of the underground of the opera house is very telling, because he looks like he knows where he's going. And so the Persian is talking about how he learned by following Eric about his whereabouts and stuff like that, about how there's a place behind a cloth where he hides, and how all the secret passageways exist for Eric because he was one of contractors or builders for the opera house. And throughout this, I do want to talk about sort of the Persian's take on how he views Eric's and Christine's relationship. And it's, he can't believe that Christine is willing to visit Eric, like, out of her own volition to, seek him out. Because he knows that he thinks that once she sees his appearance, she'll want nothing to do with them. And he's proving wrong later on when he knows that Christine visits him regardless. And so he knows that because Christine has sort of accepted Eric, that disaster is to come. Because he knows that the one she loves is Raoul, not Eric. And throughout this narrative, they end up in what is known as the torture chamber. And this room is described as, I think, a room with 6 walls or something, and it's covered in mirrors. But it's basically modeled after the place that Eric was before he came to Paris. And so it is modeled after Little Sultana of Persia, is where Eric was before he came to Paris. And it was for the torture of unoffending citizens. And so basically they find in there the rope that was used to kill the first character that died in the book, which was Bouquet, I believe his name was. They find the rope or the lasso that Eric used to kill them with in there. And so they definitely know that this isn't, like, they found Eric and they're also in grave danger. And so in this room, they hear Eric talking to Christine. And Eric is basically telling Christine to choose whether to marry him or, cause destruction on the opera house. And basically, I believe his scheme was that have Christine choose to marry him or blow up the opera house. I believe he has like some kind of fuse or gunpowder around the opera house to where he will light up if she does not choose him. And so Raoul hears this, he's in distress. The love of his life is being captured by this villain. He's telling Christine he will die with her, stuff like that. But he says that by 11 of the next evening, you have to decide whether you want to marry me or not. And sort of throughout this part, we sort of see the human side, or sort of the backhand of how Eric performs all of his trickery. And so, like with Christine's mirror, there was like a little part of it that turned, and it was like basically a door. It led to a passageway. Eric is able to project his voice anywhere he wants to, and he sort of has inventions with him in the room to where he can control like the temperature and stuff, and that's going to come into play later when the torture chamber begins to heat up, like the jungle of the Congo, and Raoul and the Persian can hear sounds of a lion, and the lion's actually Eric making those noises. So basically, Christine is met with an ultimatum: choose Eric or, cause the destruction of the opera house. And so the way that he makes Christine choose is to stand between a scorpion or a grasshopper. And so if she turns towards the scorpion, she chooses to marry Eric. If she turns towards the grasshopper, when she turns towards the scorpion, she chooses Eric, and it'll flood the opera house to sort of dampen the gunpowder, and so it won't explode. Or if she chooses the grasshopper, boom. And because, there's not really a decision, she chooses to marry Eric. And as a result, water rises in the cellar above the barrels of the gunpowder. And the torture chamber floods, basically. It becomes a lake, and Eric and the Persian are basically trapped in there, and Christine begs to be saved. And basically, Eric and the Persian lose consciousness. And so they wake up in a room, a bed, and Raoul's on the sofa, and Eric is there. Eric asks the Persian how he's feeling, and basically there was this sort of this confrontation between the Persian and Eric, to where Eric says that Count Philippe, Viscount Raoul's brother's death was an accident. He died not at the hands of the quote-unquote siren, which was basically just Eric in disguise in the lake. But Eric says to the Persian that he is going to die of love. But he says the reason why, or he explains that obviously that they're not dead is because Christine begged him to save their lives, but because Christine didn't recoil when he kissed her forehead and when he unmasked himself, which no other person has ever done. And so basically they have their moment. Eric and Christine have their moment. They cried together. They have this heart-to-heart. Basically, Eric tells Christine she can marry Eric. She can marry Raoul. There we go. That she can marry Raoul because they've bonded, and so Eric says he released Eric to Christine, and then Eric made Christine promise that she would come back and visit Eric, and then Christine kissed Eric goodbye. About near the ending part is Christine's ring, which Eric had gifted her. The ring symbolizes sort of her faithfulness to him, but obviously she's marrying another man. But Eric is willing to let her go because of sort of her sacrifice to marry him, instead of causing the destruction of the opera house to choose. And in a way, she did choose Eric over Raoul, and I'm not sure if that was what he was after, but he did, and she made the choice. She chose Eric, and I guess he was happy with that, and so he let her go. And so basically he said he wants, but he still wants Christine to visit him, and then when he dies, to bury him with her golden ring. I'll read the very last ending, because I do like it. It says, "There was no more to say. The Persian saw Eric to the door of his apartment, and Darius helped him down the stairs to the street. The cab was waiting. Eric stepped in, and the Persian, who had resumed his post by the window, heard him say to the driver, 'To the opera.' The cab disappeared into the night, and that was the last time the Persian saw the poor, unfortunate phantom. 3 weeks later," I'm not going to pronounce, it's an article name, "published the following announcement. Eric is dead." And that's the end. And, honestly, it wasn't that bad of an ending. I didn't hate it. I think this is as close to sort of a fairy tale ending as we're going to get. In the end, Christine ended up with Raoul, and Eric sort of settles. Eric sort of does. Nobody out of the 3 main people, nobody died, even though plenty of other people have died throughout the novel. But I don't want to get too much into analysis part until the other videos, but I just want to say that I found it, the book was pretty satisfying. I thought it was pretty good. Like, I made pretty good on annotations. There was a lot that I noted down. I actually added another annotation color since beginning of the series, and for a bright yellow or warm yellow, it's for key events that I wanted to jot down. But I do want to get into annotations in my next video. But this is it for chapters 21 through 27. Next episode is chapter 27, is the epilogue and commentary to analysis. And then the last 2 videos will only be 10 minutes long. Okay, bye!